Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. We're going to work on a bail release issue with the SpinFisher 700. And what's happening here is as you open up the bail, the arm doesn't extend up. And most of the time that's because the track just gets dirty and you lose the flexibility and the movement in this. So we're going to show you how to resolve that issue. And while we're doing that, a lot of the actual reel itself is going to come apart, so you'll be able to see how that Penn SpinFisher was made, how to service it, and how to get it fishing again. In this case, it's got a specific issue, but because of the way that this reel comes together, well, you're going to have to remove the rotor, and to remove the rotor, you remove most of the pieces of the reel anyway. So we're going to get started. I'm going to take the button off, remove the spool. You can just see a little bit of the tab here that's coming through, but that's not the whole story. The story is underneath here, and in order to get underneath, you want to remove your handle. You're going to do that in a clockwise manner. It's a screw-in handle, and when you remove that, make sure that you're aware that there is a washer that sits next to it. Don't lose that washer. If you lose it, then the handle's going to over-tighten and the reel will not turn. There's 3 side plate screws, and while I take those side plate screws out, this is a good time to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, or if you're already subscribed to my channel, please hit that notification button. That notification button will help you see when I am posting the videos. Then it'll enable you to make a choice as to what videos you want to watch. I do all kinds. Today we're working on an ocean saltwater reel, but I work on freshwater reels. I work on conventional reels, I work on bait casting reels and the like, and you may find an interest in some or all of them. Well, you can see this one's pretty much loaded with old grease, and I'm going to be servicing that one after I get this bail issue complete. But in order to get that rotor off, you need to remove the axle shaft. You do that by removing the screw below here. And I'm putting all the pieces and parts that I take off into a parts tray. It's nothing more than a fast food container, but that parts tray does help me keep track of where those pieces and parts are, and how those pieces and parts are located. It tells me the order that I put them back in, and then of course I want to make sure that I do the right thing there in terms of keeping them organized so I don't lose them. Alright, so we've taken off the crosswind arm that moves the axle shaft up and down, and we should be able to push the main gear out at this point. And this is all got a lot of dried grease to it. Here's your anti-reverse arm that's come off. We'll put that back in. There's an anti-reverse screw here. This is a good place, or a spring. It's a good place to show you to take pictures if you haven't started doing so already. Now I'm taking it on a video, but notice that one tag end of this spring just rests up against the outside case, and the other spring, the AR dog is going to anchor into this, and this is going to grab the neck of that, and it's going to pull it towards the main gear. So I want to take that spring out, put that with that AR dog for later. We're going to clean all of this case up as part of my service, but again, right now it's more important to me to address the main issue. The main issue at this point is that lever is not firing. So this has a very deep well in the rotor, and you can't get to that with a box wrench. You're going to need to use a socket to do that. I just use a socket to break the nut. And once I break the nut, I like to take it off by hand if I can. I don't like risk scarring any of these pieces, and by hand you're never going to over tighten it or have a problem like that. Alright, we should be able to remove this now, walking it up. Okay, just keep working it up. Eventually, there we go. Eventually it will come off, and we can probably see what the issue is here because it's just full of dirt. And this is the lever we're talking about here, and most of the time it's just because that lever gets jammed up. So you want to do a couple of things. You want to test the spring behind it. The spring behind it is working, but you want to flush all of this out, and I'm going to use a penetrating oil to do that. There's all kinds of dirt and junk and goop on here. So we're just going to take a moment to clean off what we can. And we can see already that it's starting to move. So it looks like this one had a probably some really poor maintenance habits to it, and that the dirt finally caught up with it. So when you're using a penetrating oil, most of the time it's just a matter of rinse and repeat. Just going to have to do this, work it in, respray, work it in again. It's a rinse and repeat kind of ordeal here, but eventually we will get this to the point where it's firing in. So I think one of the better things to do at the moment is probably to remove this bail. And I'm going to have to go get a ratchet to do that, so I'm going to turn this off right now. When I go to remove the bail, I like to leave this arm attached. I'm going to use a nut driver. You can use a ratchet wrench. You can use all kinds of things, regular wrench and the like. But let's go ahead and pull that out. And then this side, I'm not sure if we have a spring on it or not, so I do want to pay attention to it as I remove it. I'm going to guess we probably do have a spring in there, and that it's probably not just a blind carrier. So you do want to pay attention to the orientation of the spring as it comes out, if it comes out, and this one doesn't have the spring on this side. So the spring for the bail trip is over here, and that's why we leave that off. Okay, we've got pretty much clear sailing now, right? We can work this in and out. And again, it's just kind of rinse and repeat until we get that full flow where it's doing exactly what we want it to do. And that just takes time. So I'm going to keep doing this. And if you have any questions, if you're working on a reel perhaps, maybe you're even working on this reel, and you're running into an issue with the repair, just leave that question in the comments section, and I'll be happy to try and respond to you with an answer or some guidance to that. So while I'm doing that, I'm also going to hit this case with the penetrating oil as well, since it's so kind of gummed up there. Okay, so I'm just noticing now that we're flush with this, so that's going exactly where it needs to be now. And just letting that penetrating oil sit and do its work is exactly what the solution to this one was. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the bail arm back on. To do that, we're going to load the one corner, pull down on our arm, get this started. Now this has got a ridge on it. So you need to make sure that you load your bail wire so that the screw goes all the way in. And you have to play around with it occasionally, but that's kind of how this one's going to work. Now we'll take our little screw for the bail arm on this side. Get it started by hand. It's kind of a lock nut arrangement. Tighten it up. And then we'll flip it over, and now you can see, as opposed to where we were before, this is totally integrated with that slot. It's fully in there, and it's going to hold that bail during the trip. So we're fully in, and then as this rides around, it's going to trip. Get my fingers out of the way. It's going to push it down and fire back. Now this bail's got a little bit of a bend to it. I'm going to resolve it, but there you go. You can see how that's working. All right. Okay, so I took the time to clean up the rest of the reel, even though it was off camera. Did a little bit of cosmetic cleaning as well. There's still a little bit of oil left on there. And we're going to show you the results. So remember, this is all about freeing up that trip lever for the bail arm so that it can operate properly. Well, let's give the reel a test. Nice and smooth, beautifully turning reel. And here's where the issue was. Let's turn it. And we can see that it snaps right back in there. Give it a click. Nice trip. On the high spot. And this is what we were all concerned about. Did it fit all the way into the slot there rather than just kind of catching it on the nip? So it did. Mission accomplished. I hope that you learned how to do that. It's just, this one was just a matter of a lot of patience. Of course, you had to take the reel apart completely, but it was patience to just let the penetrating oil do its work, flush out the old dirt and greases, and this reel is a very nice reel, ready to go fishing again. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please like the video. As we end, I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel and everybody involved in keeping us safe during the pandemic. That's the uniformed folks, as well as all of the folks that are in the medical fields and the like. Thank you. And to everybody, please stay safe, stay well, stay watching. Let's add another one. Stay fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.